Hello, hello. Welcome to another stream.
Hi.
You revved up?
I'm always like, hi. Yes, I'm revved up.
You're a slow starter.
Yeah, I need to warm up a little
right.
bit first.
Today's stream. This is an interesting one. Today we're going to talk about women particularly. I suppose guys too, but I don't think it's that common. It's a cliche that women shame their men when they're in a relationship for continuing their hobbies and they belittle them.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, and I think that depends on what kind of woman it is.
Yeah, but
it depends on what you're looking for in a man. Because, well, not to jump straight into it, but because I've never had that experience with men, and I have had exes who have had hobbies as well, and that was never a problem for me. So I think it depends on what you're looking for in a man as a woman. You know, maybe women that care more about men providing and making money for them as well, they might care more about that kind of thing.
I was going to say that women who get just annoyed at you doing your thing, your hobby, you could still be skateboarding as a 30, 40-year-old man, like something that's obviously very considered childish. But when you press them, like in my case it was drawing and art, and it's like, it's embarrassing to them, the status they see them, like you with them, you feel like a child in their eyes who's still drawing or creatively pursuing something, or you're also not making money. So it's about money and status in their eyes and how they're seen to other people. To them, it's embarrassing.
Right.
So it's not really about the person. It's not about love. It's about status and money. Because if you're an artist that was exhibiting in galleries and making millions of dollars, then it'll be, oh, I'm proud of my so-and-so. Look at him. Like, yeah, because cha-ching, we drive a Ferrari.
Yeah. I think maybe women have a problem with it because they see men as providers and they want them to focus their time on making money. You know, maybe that's one part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess it really depends on what you're looking for.
All right. Hi to the regulars. Peg, how are you? Big ol' David P, how are you? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Someone asked, is Bob my actual name? Yeah, Bobby is my actual name. So, there you go.
What's taxidermy?
When you stuff animals, a lot of people stuff their dead pets. And they place them on the mantelpiece.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a bit creepy.
Yeah, well. Would you stuff me?
I want to say something, but I won't.
All right. That's what Peg said, actually. Let's go to the chat.
It's either me or the PS5, babe. Yeah, see, I think you should never have to choose, but look, I think with hobbies and everything, I can understand that a woman has a problem with it if, like, they're living together and he's hardly working or not working, and she has to, like, pay most of all the bills maybe, and he's just at home and he's not putting any effort into trying to find a job or something. I can see where that can become a problem because it's not fair. But I think, you know, if you're both like putting effort into the relationship and you're paying the bills together, or he is, and then he's got his hobbies, like, what's the problem? You know, there's no problem there.
You know what I just thought of? That's probably at the heart of why women get particularly annoyed, is that if you are connected with your partner, you wouldn't care what he does. You wouldn't care what he goes outside, does whatever. You know where he is. You know how he thinks. you're both in. But when you're not connected, when you're not compatible, when all you're having is restaurants, and he looks like he's really enjoying himself away from you, you can't connect with it. You don't know. It feels like almost low-level cheating in another area of life, like it's not about you. So I think it's got to do with how the women who really have a problem with a guy pursuing any kind of hobby, but it's usually childhood. It's usually something he always did, and then it comes with him in a relationship, and he can't necessarily share it with her, or she doesn't get it, and she just wants him to spend time with her doing couple stuff. And I think if they're not connected, it annoys you because it feels like he's enjoying himself. Like, I don't get it, and I'm sitting here on my own. What do? I'm twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah, and then she might get jealous at him and at his hobby because he's got something that she doesn't understand, and so they're kind of different people, I guess.
Yeah, I think I just thought about that now. I think that's probably at the heart of it. If you're not connected and compatible, you don't talk, you really don't care what they do on the side. Like you know them, they don't feel like they're separate from you. But when they feel separate, hobbies and things, when they have separate lives in your relationship, like a little time away on their own, and you don't really understand it and you don't know, it's kind of like, I think that's...
Yeah, but it's also says something about how you feel about the other person. Because you've got some hobbies that I'm not into, like your cameras and stuff. Like I'm not into that. But
you appreciate this one.
Yeah, I like this one. But like I like that you like those things and that you have those hobbies, because I've got my hobbies and my creativity as well. So even if I don't understand it or like I'm not into it, I like that you're into it because it's like your thing, So that's like a really nice way of coming at it. But if you come at it like, oh, why are you doing that? I don't understand it. Why do you need that time to spend on your hobby? You should be spending it with me. Then you're just like incompatible, I feel like, because you're trying to change the person. You want something from the person that he doesn't want to give you, maybe, per se, because he needs his hobby as well.
Yeah, but I feel like even I've had it in small ways when I was younger, but I hear that complaint with a lot of guys where even when they try and explain it, like, babe, what am I doing? Like, I'm just playing my video game, or I'm just drawing, or I'm working on my car, or I'm going to the gym or something. Like, this is all it is. Yeah, but... And they'll kind of shame and gaslight, like, but you always spend time away, and do you find the gym more important than me? I guess you should just marry your drawings. Like, it's kind of like, I want you all to myself because I don't get you. I don't feel secure and connected with you.
Yeah, okay, but it does need to be balanced. Like, I will say that in defense of some women, it's fine for everyone to have their hobbies, but the relationship does need to be balanced. Because if I was like writing the whole day and I was neglecting our relationship and our quality time, that wouldn't be good either. So that's also something that comes into play. If you've got a man who is just like gaming 5 hours a day or something, and you're both also working and you don't have enough quality time together, that's kind of a problem now.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily because you have that hobby. It's because the relationship isn't balanced. So
yeah, I think if you're both, not both, but in your own way, just if you're a reasonable person, if I'm gaming 5 hours a day, and if I have to game on my own and you need to leave me alone, that's a problem. But if I can game organically, it's no problem, and you come in and you join and you sit with me and you read a book, that's not a problem. So it depends on how you do it. I think the quality of people talking and spending time on their own stuff while still being connected in the house or sitting next to each other or not, that's the problem. It's the quality of actually being together or still together and yet separate and orbiting each other around the house and in their lives. Because when you go to work and I go to work, we're still kind of connected and we chat and we still feel we're together. But I imagine there's a lot of couples that don't talk, they're not connected, they're not compatible, they feel like they need time away. The relationship in the other person suffocates them. And so that's why everything needs to be can we move everything off the table that isn't me feeding off you, you know? And I think that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
Look, for me, in my case, my creativity has always been a big thing in my life. And I knew that anyone who was compatible with me would reasonably and just like matter of fact understand. Like, oh yeah, Bobby likes to draw. Like, he's into that. Oh, that's cool. Like, I want the response to be cool, interesting. Oh, you've got this about you. In the same way you've got interesting things about you. Like, I'm not going to shame you to become this woman that I have in my head. You take the person, good, bad, quirks, whatever, and the quirks and the little things they do, their hobbies, become endearing. And I don't get people who say, I love them, but this annoys them, and that annoys me, and this annoys me, and that. It's like, you don't really. You like the idea of them, you like the look of them, and you're trying to force them into something.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I really think it's about just balancing the relationship. Like, it needs to be fair, but it's also about where you're at in life and what you're looking for. Because I can remember, like, with two of my exes, they were, like, one of them, he used to play in a band, and he would spend a lot of time on that. And another one used to game quite a lot. But we lived separately, you know, so... And then it's obviously not a problem because I pay my own bills, he pays his own bills, and we just like get together whenever. But, you know, I can imagine that, say, for example, the ex that played in a band, right? Like, if we're both living together and we're both paying the bills together, then I would like it to be at least 50-50, you know? And then he can't go and do that 90%, and then I have to support us, mostly, you know? And I know that may be unfair because men do that all the time. Yeah, but I guess that is just a bit different.
Yeah, I think at the heart of it, you need to negotiate and talk and like communicate whether you're both being reasonable and if it works for you. Because everyone's got a different balance of, I can live with this. Yeah, I'm prepared to do a bit more of this. I'm prepared to understand a bit more of this, you know? So it's not a one-size-fits-all. The only one-size-fits-all that I would say is a must is that you do talk to your partner and you make sure with your words that this is who I am, this is what we're about, and let's make it real with words, and this is it. We said it. This is who we are. This is what we promise. This is what we're going to do. This is how we speak to each other. I have a good sense of you. But I think if you don't communicate, your mind drifts and you get insecure and you want your partner to be all to you and you don't want them to do their hobbies.
I think this is actually just really simple. I think it should always be fine for anyone to have a hobby as long as the relationship is balanced and it's fair, you know? And if a woman still has a problem with the guy having a hobby, then that's just her not being a nice person and being jealous and her wanting someone that he's not, you know? But otherwise, it should be fine to... Everyone has their hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't neglect other things, you know, like your relationship, and make sure you fairly contribute and everything.
I think creativity especially gets shamed more because it's seen as childish, and women want to be protected and they don't feel like they're protected by someone who's childish. So if you're like me, I draw and do art, but I don't make a living from it. Well, I do with design, but my pure art, the stuff I really love, that's for me, my art, not the design, the art. I do it for fun and it's therapeutic and I'll always do it. But it's from childhood. I've been doing it all my life. And I think from a woman, she wants to feel a sense of protection and safety from a guy. And if the guy feels childish to her, she doesn't really trust him like a man. And he has childish hobbies, like he draws, plays video games, plays in a band, whatever, he's got creative. It just kind of gives her this feeling like, I don't have a responsible man in front of me. I'm not protected. I'm taking care of him. He's almost like my child.
I think I'm wired a bit differently because my thought when you were saying that, I was thinking, why do women always need to feel like they've got this provider? Because they can work, because I don't feel like that. You know, because...
You're slightly different.
Yeah, I know, but I don't look at you as my provider. I look at us as we're both working so that we have enough. And so that we can have a nice, comfortable life. I don't look at you like you're my provider.
And let's also touch on this. We have had discussions, and we have them often, about what would happen if one of us lost our job. What would be the A and B, C plan? What if one of us just wanted to take a break? What if one of us wanted to just write? You want to spend 6 months before you look for another job. I want to focus on YouTube or doing my own book or something. What if we work full-time, part-time? So we don't care. We've got all these plans that we're always talking about.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So it's not just you that's the provider in our marriage. Like, we look at that, at least I look at that differently. Like, we're both working together to live how we want to live. So, yeah, if you lost your job, then I would take over, and I would support us for a while. But even, like, if you wanted to, we've talked about this, if you want to take a year off to, like, focus on YouTube or your drawing or whatever, like, yeah, sure. Like, I can work for a year and, like, provide for us, because it's easy, because we don't need much. And I know how much you love that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also because we are both very creative, and we have that bond, we have that connection through creativity as well. Like, I understand that, you know, because I would also love that if I could spend a year just, like, working on writing and whatever I want to work on.
There was a comment, I think it was by Prince Revolver. He left in the comments, he says, if I'm responsible, I pay the bills, what business is it of anyone else? That was kind of what he said. And I agree with that. Where people might look at me being, like, still in Peter Pan syndrome. I write and draw comic books, and I like art, and I do videos, and I've got all these creative branches out of me, right? And so, like, some people could say, well, grow up, Bob. And I'm like, my house is paid off. I'm responsible, all my bills, I've got some savings. You came here, and we can work part-time because I've always been responsible. You've been responsible. You were taking care of. You had an apartment. You had a job, and all of this stuff. And so it's not luck, but as long as you're responsible, and you're not always scamming people for, can I borrow money? And you're acting like a irresponsible child. Whether you're to your friends and family or within a relationship, you're freeloading off your partner. You could be working, and I sit home, play video games all day. You know, I get obese, and, like, I can't be bothered interacting with you or talking. Of course, like, what am I doing with this person? This isn't the person that I fell for.
I think that expectation from men in society to work full-time and to contribute and to be serious and to be stoic and masculine and stuff, that is so strong that no matter if you explain, but my house is paid off, I'm doing well, I don't need much, I can spend all this time on my hobbies and have fun with it. Even if you explain that, they can't shake that feeling. And I think it's also just jealousy, maybe. You know, like, some people get jealous of you that you're able to work part-time, that you can spend so much time on your hobbies, that we can go out and go for breakfast and do all these things.
But they won't actually say it. You'll say, are you a bit jealous that I can, like, because I know someone who has, like, kids and their time is all consumed. They can't do their little hobby that they used to do, even for 10 minutes. They just don't have the time. They're exhausted. But they'll say to me, Bob, you know, don't you think it's time to let go of the draw? Like, it's a bit like, move on, and, like, you're married now and stuff. Like, I've had little comments suggesting I move on from my old life. And it's not a reasonable suggestion. It's like, just let the creative stuff go. It's like, but why? It's nothing to do. Like, I have moved on to another stage of life, but I'm not letting go of the rich inner things within me that really get me interested to write and draw and create stuff. You know, that's got nothing to do. And I think they won't admit that, yeah, I can't pursue my little hobbies. So it kind of annoys me, and it bugs me every time I see Bobby. Even if he says nothing, he kind of grates me the wrong way.
I think it's a bit of jealousy, definitely. Because sometimes you also get comments like, like you're working so hard, huh? Like they mean it as a joke, something like that. I can't remember what they said, but and you can just hear like they're kind of jealous, I think.
Passive aggressive, yeah. All right. Let's move on with the comments. Landis says, several years ago, my just married friend, who had been a PC gamer for over 10 years, told me to tell his wife that he had that hobby because she wouldn't understand and quit playing. So he's married to her, and he told you to tell his wife that he had that hobby because she wouldn't understand. So he married a girl that didn't understand that he had a hobby as a gamer, and it was really important to him. See, that's what I mean about the fear of just telling a person exactly who you are. I have a fear that if I don't tell you exactly who I am right at the start, I had this fear of living a lie for the rest of my life and keeping it up.
But also, that would never be the case with women. And that all goes back to that biological inclination that men have towards women. Like, they're afraid to talk about these things because they're afraid they're going to lose the woman. Because if a man asked a woman to give up her hobby, that would be a really strange thing, and we wouldn't do it, you know?
Yeah, a woman's much more protective over what's personal to her. Like, if a guy says, yeah, like, you know what? Like, that color, I don't like it on you. Can you not wear it? That's, like, so childish or something. Like, she would defend it and say, like, I love this. What's it to you? That's offensive to me. But when a woman does it to him, like, I don't like your hobbies. I don't change that shirt, cut your hair, whatever. A guy, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that all goes back to that women have so much choice, and it's all very easy for women, like dating and that kind of stuff. And for men, it's much more difficult. So men, they can't afford to be very picky and say no to women.
You know, I defend my creativity so much. It's, you know why? Because I always, when I discovered drawing and art and things like that, it was the first time I understood myself and had something to connect with the world and show it to people. And, oh, that's nice. Or I watch people and I draw them and I create stories. It was the first time I really understood something about myself. That, you know, I found something, not just that I was good at, but I connected with something that was mine, you know. I found a bridge, you know. And when someone's like, that's dumb, I was like, no, this keeps me alive. This is my sanity. This is how I express. This is me. Like, this is a best friend to me, you know. And when people are like, get rid of your dumb friend, it's like, well, how about you fuck off, you know. Like, to me, it's very offensive. It's like someone insulting you or my family. When someone puts down, and I remember my first serious relationship, she was like that, where she at one point said, I could tell she was very quiet and she wasn't supportive about me drawing and reading comic books. And I did this. I had a job and I did this in my spare time here and there. And at one point, I think, you know, the truth came out with her. And this was like a year or so in. She was like, I like that you've got a hobby, but look, I'm not going to be with a starving artist. And that really, like, put a spear in me. It's like, this is me. This isn't just me watching a Netflix movie and like, cool, I love this movie, and you said you didn't like it. Oh, well, big deal. This is actually what I'm about. This is what gets me up. This is where the lights come on and the color comes into my world. And you can relate to this. This is where I create my worlds and ideas and stories and have conversations about what about this and concept connect this to that. Like, it makes me come alive, makes me think.
Yeah.
And if you take that, then what am I? I'm just like someone who sits there and goes, yep, no, we'll go to dinner here, we'll go to dinner there.
Yeah, I was just thinking when you were saying that, I've never been shamed for any of my hobbies, but that's probably because I'm a woman. But yeah, if someone had shamed me for like writing, because I've been writing since I was 8 years old, that's like, I love that, I would also tell them to F off. Like, for sure. I also think that if I had been shamed a lot for writing, for example, that would have made me even more introverted and like not like people.
And not show people.
Also, but it would have also made me more distant from people because I'm already not a people's person, and that would have increased that for sure.
Well, unrelated, I uploaded a video last night about childhood, but shaming people, especially the younger you are, you get put down for something you really like. Like, for instance, me, I was always encouraged for my drawing. Maybe because when you're young, people find it's like magic, like, oh my God, you can magically draw, right? It is something that's a bit of a gift, but you jump in the deep end and you get better and better at it. So I wouldn't have become good at art and drawing if I didn't obsessively practice it, right? But there is a little bit of talent there and I'm naturally drawn to it. So when you're younger, everyone wows you and applauds you and is interested. When you get older, I think with drawing and creativity, the thing is, are you going to defend that which is part of you that's really important? Or are you not? Because to me, you know, that's the choice.
I just think you need to find a compatible partner, like someone who gets that about you, you know. Because, like with me, I'm very simple. Like if your hobby was like Lego,
Mm-hmm.
you know how big Lego was.
Still is.
If you like got out Lego stuff and that would be your thing and you'd be building stuff, that would be awesome. But that's because all I care about is being at home and chilling with you. Like, the rest of my life, I could just be with you at home chilling.
Mm.
And so I'm a really good compatible person for that, for those kind of hobbies. But I can imagine if I was a different kind of woman and I was very social, I wanted to go out, I cared more about like bling bling or whatever, then that kind of stuff would probably annoy me because I'm like, what are you doing? Let's go out to eat at a fancy restaurant or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you have to find someone who's compatible, who will get that about you,
Mm.
who will appreciate that, and she'll get it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think also creativity, it's not just that you do it, that I think I creatively talk as well. So it's not what I do, it's what I do and how I think and what I say. It all kind of swims together. And I think you and I, when we talk and we share our own creativities, you do your stuff, I do my stuff, they can kind of relate and talk to each other.
Mm.
But if you've got a world, like you mentioned, you're a girl that is a whatever bimbo that just likes going out and shopping and eating and really doesn't have any kind of inner world or is ashamed of it or doesn't think much of herself. She's got nothing to say. So your life is all very external and you have to and so then if your life is very external, then if your partner does something very internal, you shame it because like, I don't get it. I feel distant. I want you closer to me. Can you get rid of your internal world and make it external like mine? Because that's the only thing I understand. I understand holidays and restaurants and blah-de-blah and Mercedes and a bigger house and more kids and blah-de-blah-de-blah. Like, I don't understand your weird, nerdy inner world. Like, there's this big brick wall between us. And if you could just come to my side, then everything would be fine. That's how they think.
But there's even differentiation within hobbies. Because, for example, we're lucky because our hobbies are very similar, like the writing and the thinking and stuff. But if one of your hobbies was like skateboarding or something.
Yeah, where you couldn't really come with me.
Yeah, or like playing basketball or something.
Or,
like,
or bike riding, mountain bike riding or something.
Yeah, and even if I could come with you, that I would still be like, oh yeah, cool, that's your hobby. But I wouldn't always necessarily, you know, I couldn't relate to it. I wouldn't be able to relate to it as much as now, you know. So then I would be more like, oh yeah, you go and enjoy your hobby, but I wouldn't always join you. You know what I mean? So with our hobbies that we have now, they're very similar. So that's also good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What comments do we have? Some actually. Let's do top chat. This always defaults to live. Yeah, live chat. Here we go. Big Ol says, conversely, a man's hobby will become a girlfriend's identity. A surfer's girlfriend will become the surfer chick sitting on the beach. Then her next man is a cowboy. Now she's riding horses. I've noticed that as well. that women do. They like a guy, they like him enough, and then they join in on his hobby and pastime.
Oh wow, that sounds very selfless to me.
That's true.
Because
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily do that. I'll be doing what I like and what I would want to be doing.
Well, that's what I liked about you. You had a clear identity. You had your own identity, and I could see whether I liked it or not, if I was compatible with it. But if it's just a yes girl, wasn't there a romantic movie with Richard Gere and Julia Roberts where she's always getting married to different guys, and she's always
Runaway Bride.
something like that, and the Richard Gere asks all her exes, like, she likes scrambled eggs like I do. How does she like egg? Oh, she likes poached eggs like me. Oh no, she likes so she just likes whatever you like because she likes you.
Yeah, I'm not like that though. Because like for example, if I'm dating someone and he likes riding horses, like that seems kind of fun to me, so I'll try it out a few times. But if he's into like bungee jumping, I'm not going to go bungee jumping just because he's into it. Like I'm going to do what I like and what I would want to do. I wouldn't necessarily copy him.
Sorry, Big Ol put a comment before the last one I read. That's why when I refreshed the chat, it was many women don't have hobbies. There was actually a TikTok trend where women admitted it. So they don't understand the importance of a hobby. She'll see it as a competition for her attention. Conversely, a man's hobby will become a girlfriend's identity. A surfer's girlfriend will become the surfer chick sitting on the beach. Then her next man is a cowboy. Now she's riding horses. So she doesn't have hobbies. And if she likes a guy, the guy's her hobby. And so she just does his hobbies. So the relationship becomes her hobby. You know, whereas a guy has a relationship with his hobby, the girl doesn't have a hobby. She has a relationship with her friends, with the man, with like she doesn't have anything for herself. That's where you're different. Most girls don't have a relationship with a hobby. They don't have a relationship with the inner world or something that they're into, that they create. And so every man, I like what you like. So their hobby is a relationship. And that's why they change. That's why they're not selfless in a good way, but they're empty.
Wow, that's just like Chinese to me.
No, you don't know.
No, I know what you mean, but I'm saying I can't relate to that at all.
Yeah.
Because I know who I am. I know what I want, what I don't want. So that seems.
But that's
weird.
actually pretty astute, Big Ol. That's very true. Many women don't have hobbies, and I found that the women who do have hobbies, an inner world, like Peg here. I get along with her, and she's got things going on in her life. She's into horses and things like that. So I can't see relationships aren't her hobby. You know, she's got hobbies, so she comes to friendships and relationships fully as a person, not empty. I like you. Let me fill myself up with your life because I like you. And the moment I have an argument with you, it's like, well, I'm just going to pour you out of my self.
It's almost like if a woman doesn't have a hobby or something, it could almost be seen as like a red flag. It just in a way as like all her attention is focused on the outside world and doing stuff.
Well, if she gets together with a guy like that, then it might not be a problem. Then they just survive on the mechanics of a relationship. You know, oh, my wife drives me nuts. I need to go spend some time bike riding on my own. We've got kids. Our life is full up. We're a partnership that takes care of the structure of family and going out and friends and parties. But you're not really a couple that understands each other or connects with their inner world and through conversation and knows what they're about. So you can, but they're the couples you see that you go, fuck, I would never be with them.
But like from a man's point of view, I can imagine that if they're about to date someone and that girl has a hobby that's like writing or drawing or painting or something calming, you know, that would probably be a good sign to the man because he's like, oh, she's got this thing, it's kind of calming. I don't know. I just see that as like, if I were a man, that would be a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's also how I look at men who are creative. you know, if I think about men who are creative, I automatically think, oh, he's probably got a big inner world. He's probably kind of like an introvert. If I have a conversation with him, that will probably be a pretty good and interesting conversation, you know? So I'm already feeling like we'll probably have more in common than with a man who's like very social and outgoing, for example.
Yeah. That's actually really important because say you meet someone and they're into something that you're not into, right? At least it's interesting. At least you can start a conversation. Goes, oh wow, tell me about that. When did you like? Do you have any work? Can you show it to me? Or when did you start doing that? How long have you? Like you can start to get to know a person because they're filled up with their some kind of hobby. So they almost have an identity. They have kind of like an identity that you can scratch and be
Yeah.
interested in and kind of get to know and wrap your arms around and get to know them. But someone who doesn't have a hobby, and most girls I went out with in the past, like, what do you like to do? I don't know. I get bored. Like, I go out. I like going to dinner. I like
Yeah.
Netflix. It's like,
Yeah, that's
so
what
you're
I
just a
mean.
human being. Like, what? Why are you different?
Yeah, like people who are creative, I feel like automatically I gravitate more towards them. I also notice at work, for example, as well, my colleagues that are more quiet and calm, I usually gravitate towards them like a lot more than like popular people or very social people. It does depend on who, but yeah. I think creativity is a really good thing, and no one should ever tell you to stop doing something creative.
Why don't women get shamed for having hobbies if they have hobbies at all?
Well, you said something really good about that hobbies are seen as, when a woman does it, it is seen as kind of feminine and cute.
Beautiful. There's beauty to art
Yeah.
and creativity.
Yeah, and when a man does it, it's more like, why aren't you providing? Why aren't you paying the bills?
Like that's something you do as a child. Whereas beauty and creativity, it's there's a beauty around creativity, and we see women as generally beautiful, and there's a lot of aesthetics around a woman. And so if a woman still draws and writes, it's like, oh, it's still part of beauty. Whereas a man, it's like beauty. We don't associate beauty with masculinity and being a man. It's like, that's for children. Like there was a bridge when you were a teenager, you should have crossed it. And now it's just about structure and job and being responsible and stop being a child.
Until they start making money.
Yeah.
You know, gaming. Oh, loser, you game. But you know those people that game professionally?
Yeah.
And they make like millions? Oh yeah, then you'll like that he games.
I've mentioned this to you multiple times. I've always drawn into comics, drawn and written comics all my life. It's really something I enjoy. It's like a personal thing to me. And I remember where my first job, and there was someone I worked with, and you could tell he always made little jokes about it. Like, yeah, when you're going to grow up. And I never took it seriously. I love drawing and my creativity, and nothing's going to shame me out of it. It's like a best friend for life. And he always passive aggressively shamed me about it and made little comments and left that job. And I remember like 5 to 7 years later, I bumped into him on the street. And this was around the time the first Marvel movies came out. And now he bumped into him. Hey, how you going? And he says, oh, I was thinking about you the other day, Bob. And you do comics because comics are huge now, man. You're smart. Because if you get into Hollywood and you do this and blah, 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 and it's like, oh, get lost, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you have no idea why I like doing this. Like, I can't stand talking about something that's passionate to me, my creativity, with someone that doesn't care, that only can talk about it through the lens of finance and commercial. And it's like you're just wanting to, you like it now. Now you approve of me because I could potentially make it big in Hollywood, and you don't even care why I love the way I, do my stuff. So yeah, people are like that, guys and girls, but especially women. I think because they like feeling safe, they like the guy protecting and providing. So there's a lot of girls who are geared towards that material provide thing, and they can't help the way they feel. They don't want a guy doing stuff that feels childish.
Yeah, I think another reason why women aren't shamed is because they're not usually providers. They're not seen as providers, so it doesn't matter if they spend their time on hobbies and everything. Like,
Yeah.
that's more expected from the man.
She's not expected to provide.
Yeah. So it's kind of unfair.
You asked something. Why do men continue these hobbies or jobs even if they know they might get shamed for it?
Yeah, I think that just shows that creativity goes very deep and it's very strong. And if you have a need for it, then you'll just do it no matter the consequences. I think a good example is my brother. He studied like audio-visual camera stuff, and I don't know exactly what it's called.
Multimedia and stuff
and
like that.
editing and camera stuff and product editing.
Yep.
Things like that. And he's always been into that. And before he started his education to get his degree, he already knew that it was going to be very hard for him to find a job in Holland in that field. But he still went into it. And I remember that even my parents, or especially my dad, he warned Greg a little bit. My brother's name is Gregory. He warned him a little bit about it. But, like, of course, my parents supported it because my family is cool. And my family's very nice. So we supported him, of course. And but afterwards, yeah, he had trouble finding a job for a lot of years. And he even had to go back to just doing odd jobs, you know. Yeah, but that just shows, like, how strong that urge is to do something you really want to do if you're creative.
Yeah, I think if you can pay the bills and you're good, you're responsible, what you do...
Yeah, but even if you can't, because my brother, like I was saying, he had a really hard time finding a job in that field, and he had to go to other jobs until he found one. But even then, the urge to do what he wants to do, something creative, is so strong that he still does it.
I think we're also biased where we admire people that follow their creative thing. They never let it die. Like, I really... Because I could never. It would be like betraying my best friend in the world. Like, just because someone's shaming me. Like, if a girl, like, I'm pretty, get rid of this. Get rid of all your comics, Bob. Because if you love me, you get rid of it. It's like, how about I get rid of you?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, what's it got to do with you? Why are you threatened? But, like, it doesn't touch you. It's something I do that you have no concept of. Why does everything have to be about you? This relationship isn't all, like, to me, it's just so, it's so paranoidly childish, you know?
I know there have been videos of, like, women, like, throwing out their gaming consoles and stuff and deleting everything that he saved. You know, I've seen videos like that.
You know what I like about my creativity is that I like it for itself and nothing else. It just gives me a great feeling. I create stuff. It creates conversation. People can read and look at my work. We met, like, it leads you everywhere, and you find out about yourself. You ask questions. You answer them on paper, in video like this. And it helps me know stuff, and it helps me feel alive in a way that nothing else that points their finger and shames me does. Like, it's just a really nice relationship I have with creativity that never rude, never unfair. It's always there. And so when someone kind of like shames, like, get rid of it. It's like you're betraying someone who's really good to you, like a really great friend, like someone who's always been there. And for me to actually be shamed, like some pretty girl, to kind of say, well, yeah, I'm more important than that. It's like, no, you're not. You really aren't. It's like someone saying, get rid of your family for me. It's like, you're not that, like, you're separate. Appreciate it. Like, if you love me, you love everything about me. And especially creativity, it's, unless you're, like you said, if I'm drawing in my notebook 24/7 and I barely look at you and we never talk and I ignore you and I take the relationship for granted, fine. But we're not talking about extremes. We're talking about you're a responsible, good person, and you've got this thing that's just for you. It's like, why does it have to be all about the other person all the time?
Yeah.
And why can't you understand what if you love your partner, you should try to and understand it about them as well.
Yeah, and I think it goes even deeper for people that are not very social and kind of introverted. At least that's what I feel like. It's also like it's a place that people can't touch, you know, like it's very private. It's always there for you. You can always turn to it, you know?
And I think that especially girls, that they love kind of jabbing, you know, like women love drama and bitchiness. They can tell a guy, like, say he really loves his car, he works on his car, that's his main hobby, or in my case, drawing. They can see what you love, the one thing, the hobby that you're really into, or you play video games. It's vulnerable for them to shame you with. Like it sticks out. That's the thing I can grab and really make him feel bad about.
Yeah, but in that aspect, I do feel like men should. Like what I like about the red pill is that they're trying to give men more of a backbone with those things. Like, this is what you should not take from women. And, like, to stand up for yourself more, you know? Because just by what you just said, if someone tried to tell me, oh, you can't write anymore, or can you please not do that creative hobby, I would tell them to fuck off, you know? Like, obviously. And I feel like everyone should do that. But men don't always, because they're afraid they're going to lose the woman. So I do think that that's really good about the red pill. That they're trying to get men to stand up for themselves more and not just like be a slave to the woman.
Well, also, there's also you have to actually say it in front of the person. So it's one thing knowing all this stuff, but you have to actually say it to the person. Because what happens is women just start crying or say they're going to leave, or they screw their face up, and they don't like that. If she says, well, I don't like that you play video games. Can you stop it? You need to grow up. And even if he's not playing many video games, he might be only playing like an hour or two a week or a couple of hours. And it's nothing.
Yeah.
So she would be happy if he just sat on the couch watching TV, but she doesn't want him with a joystick in his hand, you know? That to me says something about the person you're with. And guys don't want to speak up, you know? It does give them a backbone, but I just wish guys would say, like, okay, why do you say this? Why I say learn to speak, and like politely, it's like, okay, you want me to give up video games? I'm not doing it very much. Why? Oh, it's just childish, and like it's not masculine. Like I don't feel attracted. It's just all shame. It's like it's not a reason. You're just using words to passive aggressively make me feel bad about myself and shame me and feel like if I don't, you're one step away from walking away from me. But it's not a reason. Like, give me a reason why this is bad for our relationship. There is none.
And that might not even matter what the reason is. Like the question is already
rude
and selfish. But yeah, what I was saying is that when the red pill gives this kind of advice to men, I'm obviously talking about men taking that advice and then just sitting down with the woman and talking about it, you know. I think it's actually pretty simple if you just objectively think about it. Like if you know that you're paying the bills but you like to game 2 hours a day, but you have enough quality time with her as well, like in your view, and you talk about it and you're just like, no, like I don't think this is realistic. I think I'm being fair. Like I'm providing, we're having enough quality time. This is just something that I like to do, and you want to now tell me that I can't do that. And I think that a loving partner who would get me would understand that this is something that there's nothing wrong with this, and this is something that I should be able to do. So then it's clear that, okay, I don't think we should be together anymore then, maybe.
Or if he has a problem with something, I think you're reasonable enough to kind of like, if I said, babe, you're doing this too much, or the way you're doing it is, and if you can actually hear the reasonable side of the argument, you'd be like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that makes sense. All right, I'll adjust. But if there's actually no logic to it, it's just like, I don't like it because of feelings, and I want you to I want to mold you into the person I want you to be. Like, I don't actually care who you are.
Yeah.
I don't like that you have writing as part of you. Can we get rid of that, please?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So if a woman comes to you and she's like, I don't like that you're doing this too much, or I don't like that you do this, I wouldn't become defensive, first of all. I would just just talk about it and just reflect, okay, she's saying this, is this true? And then just think about whether it's true, and then come up with something that's fair, or maybe you don't agree at all. But, you know, if you think about it more objectively and just talk about it together, and then you come to a conclusion. Yeah.
Big Ol added another example. He says, my sister suddenly loves jazz music now that she's dating a jazz musician, yet he's not suddenly into ceramics because she's a ceramicist. Yeah, guys aren't going to be like into your hobby. They'll appreciate it. They'll go to, well, watch a romantic movie with you. They'll do it for you, but they're not going to be like, oh, now I'm into these movies as well.
Oh, someone's calling you.
I think that's a scam. I don't recognize the number. I'm getting it on my watch as well.
Ah. Yeah.
Hang up.
I wonder, because you said before that women, they'll pick up their man's hobby. So you think that men don't really do that the other way around as much?
Not generally, no. They'll be fair and go with her, support her, understand her, appreciate it, but they're not going to be like now I'm into The Notebook as well. Yeah, it's my favorite movie. I mean, there's some guys, but not generally, you know. But women will be like, yeah, now I'm a gamer chick. Now I'm this. Now I'm a mountain biker.
Right.
Now, like, their identity is relationships. They don't actually have an identity in some hobby. I think most women don't have actually a creative identity or pursuit like you do. There are some women, but the majority of them, I think, are fairly hollow, and they feel it. And that's why they want to be outgoing and go to restaurants. They fill up their relationship with just doing external stuff.
But if they copy, because I've never thought about this before, if they copy the man's hobby, what's the goal? Like, why is she doing that?
It gives her an identity. She likes the guy. And if she manufactures like, oh, I'll just do what he does. It's kind of like like if you visit a country, like when in Rome, do what the Romans do. Mm-hmm. Rome, awesome. Pizza. Like, how do you say this word? And you just kind of pantomime your way through it. But then after a while, that's why the relationship ends. After a while, you want to go home. Like it's empty. She's just mimicking.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, because I can understand that if you're in a relationship with a guy and he really likes basketball, for example, and then you get into basketball as well, but just because, yeah, you kind of like it and it's fun now, you can do it together or whatever. I get that, but if you weren't into something before and now you just copy his hobby, I'm just wondering, what is the goal? Like, is the goal for him to like you more? Or because you say to have an identity, but like, what does that mean?
What I mean by that is a lot of women, if without a hobby, that's a clue that they don't really have something inner beliefs and ways of speaking and caring about a hobby. So they don't really have an identity to speak with. Like, you talk to them and like, so what are you into? Oh, nothing. I like going shopping and eating. It's like, you're just a human being. Like, I want to know why you're different. What particular thing about you is odd or different that connects with me, that's compatible with me. And you only find, and a good sign is someone who has a hobby. Like you said, then you can talk, ask questions, answer, active listening, telling them about yourself.
But are you then saying that she really isn't that much into that hobby?
No, most of the time.
And how does that end then?
It ends past the honeymoon. They get bored because they can't keep up the act. They're basically putting on a mask of the other person's hobbies. So a guy comes to the thing as a skateboarder. He's passionate. Oh my God, he's so interesting, exciting. This is new. I'm going to become a skateboarder too. I'll put on this mask for a while because I really like him. He's hot. He's different. He's outgoing. And then after a while, it's like, now I'm a skateboarder. I don't even want to do that. Like, what am I doing? I found myself drifting with this guy because I liked him. But now the reality sinks in. It's like, now I'm in love with a skateboarder and I don't feel comfortable. I don't know. I can't be this person.
But why would you pretend to be into something you're not into? I don't get that.
They don't have an identity. They don't have a sense of who they are.
How can you not have an identity?
Well, most people's identity is just copying until they have the courage to really look in the mirror. I think you found that.
I don't get it.
I think women have it easier. Guys have to become something. So guys really have a clear sense of, through their hobbies, they find out who they are, and they have a much more tactile sense of their identity through, I don't want to confuse you with this, because I know from a woman's point of view, women are just kind of like, they just feel what they feel. So if they feel like they like the guy,
What? No kidding. Yeah.
you're just different because you have an internal world, you have a hobby, you have a strong sense of who you are. Women have a very feelings-based sense of who they are without any grounding of a hobby. So just put it back to, if a woman doesn't have a hobby, then a man would do well to really keep asking questions and find out if there's anything inside, because a lot of women without a hobby, something that they care about inside themselves, they're in an internal world or hobby. Without that, they're just like a chick that gets bored and needs to go on holidays and travel and shopping. And
I just don't understand how women can get themselves to that point of acting out, of like doing a hobby now that you would have never have done and that you maybe don't even like. Just for this identity. Like, I just don't get it.
It makes them feel alive. Someone with, like me, with a creative passion, I have something to wake up for. I feel alive. I'm optimistic. I'm looking to do projects. Even if I'm alone, I have this in my head and I'm able to draw and express myself. That's really great. It makes me feel alive. And people who don't have that, they feel jealous. They feel like, I don't get it.
I think that's the problem. I think I'm just wired completely differently, where I've never had that thing of, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. I don't know. I've always known.
You formed that early on like I did.
Yeah. So I don't get it that people would just not know who they are. And
maybe it's also a little bit about, like, because you're more self-referential because you're a woman. And I can kind of place myself outside, like, yeah, I can understand why a sociopath does this, and like you can too. But like, I even if it's not me, I can kind of see it from other people's point of view. Like, I can see someone who's empty, who doesn't have the benefit of a creative thing. But because it's so personal to you and you place yourself in it, you can't really understand someone without an identity that just always goes shopping and does stuff. I think it's partly because you're a woman. Like, it's harder for you to see women that aren't anything like you, or, you know, I don't know.
Well, I think it's difficult when I'm very different from their personality, because I feel like, put myself in men's shoes with some things pretty well.
Yeah, but when it comes to imagine a woman, your default as a woman is placing yourself in there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Whereas when I hear imagine a man, I imagine a man. I don't think of myself ever. I have to go, oh yeah, and then I had this experience as well. But whenever someone says imagine a man and this and that, and I'm just like creating a man in my head, not me. But when someone says imagine a woman and women this and that, like, you straight away like place yourself in that role. Imagine yourself. What would you do? How would I be? I'm in that description.
Well, yeah, because that's how you refer to thoughts and actions.
I don't. If you said imagine yourself, I'm like, oh, okay. But if you go imagine a man, or men do this, or men drink and drive, like, yeah, like I imagine the idea of a man. So it's just it could be a male-female thing. Boffin had an interesting one. He said, do you think women are jealous of a man's hobby in the same way they are jealous of another woman? I touched on this before. I think yes.
Ah, that's interesting.
They're kind of jealous. Like, if they don't have anything, they want you all to themselves, and they see you happy away from them. It's like you're almost cheating on her. Like, look at you smiling with your notebook and pencil. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you drawing? Are you women, I draw. I draw me. It has to be like, I have to consume it has to all be about me. It's like, I gotta take 100% of you. So I think there's something to that. All right. Have we gone through? I think we've touched on almost everything we wanted to talk about. Do you want to? Let's answer some of the comments. What do you think?
Yes.
Or was there more that you wanted to?
I guess I just wanted to say to people to never give up your hobby. And that if your partner asks you to give up your hobby or to do it less,
give up your partner.
I would say first, don't be defensive, but first just reflect on it and see if there's any truth to it. and then just see what is fair, but if it's unfair, yeah, then that person's probably not compatible. You should never give up your creativity. No.
From a guy's point of view, maybe for me it's also loyalty and fairness, right? If my hobby, if I'm reasonably, I'm reasonably giving enough time for my relationship and the real world and being responsible, and I'm just enjoying my hobby on the side a couple of hours here and there, and I'm not really avoiding my relationship and with my hobby, right? I'm not using my hobby as an escape from a relationship I don't like. But if my hobby, like you said, fairly, like, what's the problem? Like, you do your thing, and when you do your thing, and like you watch a movie or do something, or you're on your phone, I do my thing, and you don't like it, then that's not fair. And for me, it's the loyalty of my hobby's been with me my whole life, and it's not doing anything to you. Stop being rude towards my hobby. My hobby's never rude towards you. And if push comes to shove, if my partner's unfair and so selfishly narcissistic, it's like, well, I'm not getting rid of my hobby. I'll get rid of you because you're being unfair.
But you know what I was also just thinking? If you notice that your partner is spending a lot of time on a hobby, you don't have to come at that with pointing your finger at him, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be angry and say, why are you spending so much time on this hobby, blah, blah, blah. You could also approach it from in a different way and just be curious and just be like, oh, hey, babe, what are you doing? And then like talk a bit about his hobby and what he's doing and stuff. And just be like, oh, like you're spending quite a lot of time on this hobby. Like I kind of miss like being with you and spending time with you, and then just make it clear that you feel like you're not having enough quality time or whatever. And, you can approach it in a nice way as well. You don't have to be
Well, that's if
angry.
you really do care about your partner.
Yeah.
I think we can't take it for granted that we're both creative kind of people. So we have that grammar between each other, and we have an inbuilt understanding already when we met. Yeah. I've mentioned everything. Like, I feel like creativity, it gives me a sense of control in life. It gives me a sense of groundedness. And it's kind of like someone saying, give it up. Give up your creativity, give up your hobby, is like, you want me fragile and vulnerable and like so dependent on you that like, oh my God, I'm going to fall apart. Like, why do you want me weak and vulnerable? And why do you want to get rid of something I really care about? To me, protect your creativity, especially if it's it's reasonable to you. Be reasonable about it. But yeah.
Do we have maybe some questions here?
During the stream? Like, no. I think we've answered most of them. Let's go through... some of...
Oh, there's one. If his hobby is XXX films, that might be a good reason for her to be jealous.
Yeah, but again, how long you spend on it. Also, guys, if you do want to ask a question during the stream, please add like this 3 smiley faces. Then we can actually see your we can see it come up on screen.
No, but I'm just wondering what she means by that.
He. I think it's a he.
Oh.
I think.
Is it because there are many XXX films, or because there are like hot girls in it?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You don't care.
All right. Let's answer some of the questions. You wanted to respond to a comment from last week's...
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, like last week's... where is it? Last week's stream. This one here. About 2 years living together. You got an interesting comment that you wanted to answer. So, let's answer it. Okay. Okay. You can read it out, babe.
Okay, it's quite a long one, but yeah. Let me know if you want to respond in between. You both approach things with a great deal of respect and acceptance. It's common for one person to thrive on spontaneity, while the other might find it stressful or feel less in control. I feel like we don't really have that, right?
No.
We are both kind of the same.
Our level of spontaneity and level of control is very similar again. You're not wildly into spontaneity, and then I'm wildly into boring, predictable, mechanical. Like we're kind of much more compatible. We're on the same page when it comes to that.
Your maturity is evident in recognizing Steph's nature without trying to change it. You're fine either way and will generally plan better as a result. When both of you compensate for and accept each other, it hardly matters what issues arise. Yeah, that's true. These are perfectly healthy but different personality traits.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience as a man, understanding and acceptance often don't go both ways. We men are often seen as perpetual works in progress, like construction sites with scaffolding and dust. That's me. He is like the Empire State Building. I'm the one with the scaffolding. Okay, so this is an exception.
Thanks, babe.
Meanwhile, women are often viewed as perfect, beyond making any adjustments. If you attempt to deviate from her plan, it can trigger defensive responses like, I'm not a terrible person. Do you think that low of me? A form of manipulative mind games. Or even descent into, do you hate women? I think that is so dumb.
Yeah, I've been out with girls like that where I have a point of view that's slightly for men, or I criticize a woman who's acting badly, and straight away it's like, do you hate women? It's like, no, I criticize the bad behavior of someone who happened to be a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people don't realize what the word hate actually means.
Again, it's shaming. It's a way to shut down the conversation.
Yeah, I know, but I might be focusing on semantics too much. But like the word hate is such a strong word. They don't even know what it means. Like they're using it in the wrong way. I used to think this was just the cost of being in a relationship. Now hearing phrases like "I refuse to change for anyone" is a red flag for me. It should be.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the most dysfunctional people often believe they have no room for improvement. Yeah.
Yeah, when you hear people, well, I am who I am, and if you don't like it, you can just F off, kind of like, yeah, I've got a temper, I'm like this, people tell me, but I am who I am. It's such a kind of, the woke crowd, like, I'm like a child, like, deal with it, or the Marilyn Monroe thing, like, you need to, if you can't accept me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. It's like, all I get is your worst. When am I going to get your best? So anyway.
Well, it also depends on how you mean I refuse to change for anyone. Like if you're saying I'll never adjust anything about myself for anyone, you'll probably be single for the rest of your life and not a very nice person.
Well, the language is, you pay attention to semantics because you write and I write, but look at the phrase, I refuse to change to anyone. It's a defensive saying, but you would say like, I know who I am. That's a different way of saying, I refuse to change for anyone.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is, if you mean it in the way that I just explained, then that's not very good. But if you mean this in a way of, I refuse to change for anyone, as in, I'm not going to change who I am, like the core person that I am, then I get that. That's a bit different.
But that, again,
But that's not what he means, probably.
But that phrase, I refuse, it's still very defensive. You can say that different ways that let me know that you're healthier. Like, I know who I am, or, yeah, I don't think it's right for anyone to change anyone else, or I would never change anyone. But I refuse to change, or I don't need a man, or it's like, no. Like, you're really kind of pushing. It's like, whoa, relax. I never forced you to say anything. You can tell me who you are without being defensive about it.
I think you can take this in two different ways. You can take this like, I won't adjust any part of myself for anyone, but then you're not being reasonable. But I also think you could mean this to say, I refuse to change who I am for anyone, as in maybe you've had a few exes that have really tried to change who you are. And you're like, no, like I don't want to be with someone who wants me to be a different person. That's also how you could mean it.
Well, this all comes down to if you hear it on a date, my ears hear this. Like if I heard you say, I refuse to change to anyone, for anyone, and I'd joke and like, what do you mean by that? You'd explore it through conversation. I want to know exactly what you mean by this.
Yeah.
But some guys just hear that and it's like, ooh, and they still go out with her, and that's like a bit of a red flag, but they don't say anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that sentence probably won't go over well, so you would have to explain it, yeah.
Yeah.
Steph, would you recognize any of this behavior in a younger or less mature version of yourself? Or perhaps could it be for the right man you are willing to make these adjustments? Did you experience this princess syndrome? And if so, what snapped you out of it? Yes, absolutely.
Well, you're a princess.
No, not the princess syndrome. I'll get to that in a minute. But before I was with Bobby, definitely I would not have changed probably some of the things that I have adjusted in my character now that I've been living with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that my relationships before Bobby, they were kind of different relationships because obviously Bobby is like, however dreamy it may sound, like the one, like we are such a good match, you know? And in my other relationships, I was more like, I really knew who I was and what I wanted, and I wouldn't necessarily have changed a part of myself for a partner, I feel like. But now that I'm with him, I do, because it's different, you know, because he's my husband. This is the end station. And because of how much I love him, I have changed certain things about myself a little bit that were kind of hard to change because, you know, you're hardwired to think a certain way. So yeah, that is true. Although I wouldn't call it princess syndrome, because like if I in the past didn't want to change something about myself, it wasn't necessarily because I was feeling entitled or anything like that, but it was just that I've always been very comfortable with who I was, and I was always very comfortable with being alone as well. So I didn't really feel the need to change a part of myself per se for someone. Yeah, but with you it's different. What snapped me out of it is basically just the reality of I love this man so much and he's my husband, and if I can change something about myself that will really make our marriage better and that he will really appreciate, then I will do that, you know, because it's very important to him and so also to me. So yeah, so if you meet the right person, then you will do those things that are a bit more difficult and that are maybe a little bit against your own nature, you know, because there was some fighting against it in the beginning for me, of course, but then you work through that because at the end of the day, you have to stop whining because this is your husband and this is real. And, you know, you do it out of love. Yeah.
And it's also like you should be able to feel the difference between you want to do these things. You don't change who you are you're not changing your personality, but you're changing reasonably to be fair, and you do love this person. So it's only fair that you do this and they do this for you. You know, I've been talking with Quaz about tit for tat. And it's a similar thing where you have this really nice intent to, it's important to me, so of course I'm going to do this for Stephanie. Of course you're going to do this for me. And the default is always, yes, I want to. Why not? Instead of this, what it used to feel like for me, I felt I'm on my own, you're on your own, we like each other, but you're like a stranger, someone that I'm not really connected to, I don't trust fully, and just like, yeah, keep your distance a bit, and I'll do the nice stuff, but I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But with you, it's like, no, of course I want to do this, and I know why I want to do it, and I know the meaning behind it, and I almost see our relationship and who you are as a real object, whereas before, girlfriends were an idea, relationships were an idea. I was just trying to survive through and enjoy my time with. But then again, I've used this metaphor, I always felt like I was on holiday with girls, and then after a while, it's like, this doesn't feel like home. But you feel like home, and I want to take care of my home, and I know where I live. It feels real. I can touch it. Like I know you.
Yeah. I've always felt like whenever I was in a relationship, we were together, but we were also separate. Because I've always been so much on my own and like self-sufficient. But so this is the first relationship where I don't feel on my own. We are like completely like bonded. So I want to say something else, but I forgot.
Yeah, you were talking last night without going into details. You always used to need much more time away.
Yeah.
And I think I can mention this where
I remember what I was going to say, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, with you, it's also very easy to change something about myself, even if it's hard. And that's because of the person that you are. It's not only because we're super compatible and we have a really good life together, but it's also because of the things that you do for me that I'm still surprised about. You know, like if I say something like, I should get this, or, oh, this should get fixed. It's happened so many times that like the next day you did it. And I'm like, oh, you already got this, or, oh, you already did this. And that's so nice. Or like if I wanna go get something at the supermarket, or I wanna get something, there's so many, like always you're like, okay, let's go get it, or you never mind. You always say yes. And that's just really nice. So that always really makes it clear to me that it is fair that I also say yes. And I also put in effort.
That it's the right thing to do to reciprocate, because then you feel shamed if you don't.
Yeah.
There's something wrong. And I think a lot of people, they get angry at the person, but you should be getting angry at yourself. Like you get annoyed at them for some reason. They bug me. It's like, maybe you're not reciprocating. Maybe they're being nice, but you just get annoyed. You should be doing the right thing, but you're not, you know?
Yeah.
Because like, for me, let's be logical. If I choose you, I want to have a relationship. I like you from the start. I'm going to start doing nice things as like I'm feeling closer to you. So I'll keep acting like the person I am and want to be and where I want this to go. And I'll keep giving you these things and being nice and thinking about you and doing kind gestures and listening to what you want and giving you little things. But then if it doesn't come back, then it's like, okay. But then you give it back to me. Like you do nice things for me, or you try hard. You know, you appreciate what I do, and you wants to not go on autopilot like the single you of the last 30-something years. It's like, no, I have to change, and I want to change because this is a good person, and I want to be with them, and I like my life. So you do want to reciprocate. But then when the person doesn't, then it's like, okay, I'll meet you on your level. You're not going to get extra anymore.
Yeah. I also just want to go back to this part. Where was it? About the scaffolding. Where was it? Oh yeah, here. Is it in there?
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny. And I would actually challenge if men are actually always the ones who have scaffolding and who need work. I don't know how much, it might be more even than you think, because women...
most modern women, they gaslight their way through life. They're like, a lot of their criticisms and nagging is so that they don't reveal... Like, what's the cliche with most Western women? They can never say sorry. Or if you argue, just say sorry as a man, even if it's her fault. That's the way you do... Like...
Yeah, but it's also like, I feel like because men are so simple, it's easy to talk to them about something. You know, like if you just sit down and have a conversation about something, very straightforward, you'll get an answer out of men, I feel like. Yeah,
men are very simple. If we've done wrong, generally, a generally well-functioning guy will say, yeah, I know I screwed up, I drank, I smashed the car, or whatever. But with women, there's always like, oh, but, you know, I didn't really cheat. I was, you know, but he was always at work and blah, blah, blah. And
I fell into his bed and...
Yeah, like it just happened. Those 10 guys fell on me in bed and I couldn't get away, and I was so confused I couldn't say no.
It wasn't my fault because I was going through a difficult period.
Yeah.
Or he was traveling all the time, so it wasn't my fault.
Yeah. Yeah, try saying that excuse as a guy. You can't even keep a straight face. It's like, I'll start laughing, making those excuses. But I think Western women gaslight their way through relationships because it would be embarrassing how they kind of almost fake their way through, fake it till you make it, but they never make it because they're too scared to show who they are. Like, think about all the things that they'll say. Oh, I want a man to be honest. I want a man to be this. I want a man to stop playing games. Why? You're projecting, because that's what you do. That's what you and your girlfriends do all the time. You backstab, you gaslight, you play games, you go behind their back. You say, oh, you look wonderful in that dress. And when she leaves, you go, bitch. It's just, you don't want any of that. You want to feel safe with the guy, so you don't have those games. Well, how about you start acting that way? But then girls they still hold back in the mode and they don't say anything. So it's a you problem. Most of this stuff is a you problem. Fix you, then your relationship with someone else will be better. I keep bumping my thing.
It sounds exhausting.
It is. You even say it sometimes when we talk about some videos and how some women act. We watch them and we read about them in articles and you go, oh, women are exhausting.
I know. We are going to make a video. I'm prepping it now. One's going to be about, can female dating coaches give advice? And then another one's going to be about dating experiences that men have versus dating experiences that women have. Like how it's very different for them to date. Because I had an epiphany like in the last week when we were just going through some of the advice that female dating coaches would give to men. And I won't get into it too much, but I was just like, she's naming all this advice that men have to think about, and just one after the other.
Do this.
And I'm just like, fucking hell, I don't have to do any of that as a woman. What are you talking about? And I was just like, men have to do so much and think about so many things. It's exhausting. Yeah. And I was just like, oh man, I can imagine, like, it's so much harder for men. All of that stuff. We've got it so easy.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're more objective and realistic than most women. Like, just hearing you, guys will hear you say that, and it makes sense. It's basic. Like, it's just being a reasonable, basic human being. Like, why are you asking so much of your partner? And then the moment someone says, okay, can you do this? Like, oh, that's offensive. I'm just perfect.
Yeah, but not even when you're in a relationship, even before, even if you're just trying to get a girl.
You got this list of...
She was naming so many things that men have to try and think of and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, fucking hell, if I was a man, I wouldn't even try, man. That's way too much effort.
A lot of them even are things that a man can't even tick off. A lot of them are mind reading. If this, then that. But maybe not. If it's this, and it could be A, B, or C. And it could be either. You don't know. A way to find out is another A, B, C, D, E.
And that's what I mean. And that's where we have it so easy. Because a man has to play all these games. I mean, sorry, the phone ran. Let's put that away.
Yep.
Because a man, like, if he sees a woman he likes and he wants to go for it, there are so many things that he has to try. Whereas a woman, we've talked about this, a woman, I can just make eye contact with the guy, and I'll know where he's at. You know, like women will know whether you're interested, whether you want to sleep with her, like anything like that, you know? And so with men, it's so much more simple. We can be, because they're direct as well, we can just be direct with them and go and do what we want to do. But for men, it's like completely different.
This is the frustrating lie out there, that they make out guys to be frustratingly complicated, and like we're so simple. Women know when they have us wrapped around their finger. They know what drives us. You don't have to provide much. We're very uncomplicated, and it's just that a lot of women don't even want to do anything for their partner. They don't even want to provide the smallest gesture to show that they care. Like, I love you. Well, you don't show anything. Like, you say the words to gaslight me, to do everything for you, to do your laundry list. But the moment I have one thing on the laundry list, it's like, oh my God, men, I can't believe you asked me to do that. I'm not your mother. It's like, can't I have one thing? Women, like the cliches women say about men is men just want one thing. And I say, well, what about women who want everything? Like, we want one thing. Yeah. We might just want to sleep with you. The most basic guy just wants to sleep with you. It's one thing. But at least sleeping with you, it's about you. It's your body. It's you. Only you, right? It's very minimal. It's very primitive, but it's you at least. But you have this laundry list. You want everything. and you want all of me.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, that's like after they're in a relationship, but like even before,
Yeah.
they have to do so much. I just feel like it's so unfair. And obviously, I'm happy that it's easy for me because I'm a woman, but if I put myself in men's shoes, I'm just like, geez.
You know what they're like, some of them? They turn up to a date with this laundry list of entitled things they want. They're almost like if they were turning up to a job, they'd be like, all right, I want $1 bazillion and I don't want to come to work and I want to have benefits and I want to have foot rubs and I want this and I don't want to do any work and blah. And the boss is like, yeah? When do you start? When do you want to start? That's the attitude. It's like the boss can't, not that the guy's the boss, but the other party, it's like, no, I'm telling you, I want everything and I'm not doing anything.
But I feel like even if women are telling you what they want, that's a little bit different because then at least they're being direct.
But they're telling you, yeah.
Yeah, but I was really talking about everything that they have to do, even before getting to the first date or getting through the few first dates to get into a relationship. But I want to ask them something to put in the chat, if you guys can. I want to ask, given how much effort you have to put into getting a girl even to go on a date with you or to get her to be in a relationship with you, do you think that if you did not have that biological inclination to love women or to want to be with women, but if you were just neutral, do you think that you would even try? You know? Like if you didn't have that need to be with a woman.
No, if men weren't biologically hardwired to want and desire women, men are basically born alcoholics and women are alcohol.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I mean. So
if you didn't know, there's a saying, I don't know, look, I'll choose my words carefully because I don't want YouTube to... There's a saying, a funny cliche, that if men didn't have this drive, they would throw things at women.
Oh yeah, you said that.
Yeah,
I've heard that
so
before.
yeah, they would throw stuff at women to keep them away because they wouldn't go through all of this.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Nonsense.
And that's why, especially with my character, like if I was a man, that's why I keep saying like I probably wouldn't even try.
Well, think about it. If you were out with friends, right? If the person's obnoxious and they're loud and they're whatever, like if a girl is loud and obnoxious and then you take away sleeping with her, you don't find her beautiful, you don't want to sleep with her, nothing. All you got left is her character and how she treats you. It's like, get away. Like, can you not bring your friend anymore? Like, I can't stand being around them. Yeah. Let alone your biology wants to sleep with them and reproduce. It's like, I don't care what your personality's like. Yeah, I'll date you, I'll marry you, I'll have kids with you. So take it away. You wouldn't want to be with them. The human race would die out.
Yeah, but I was just thinking I want to make that video because it's just like, it just struck me like how ridiculously unfair it is, how different it is for the two sexes dating. It's just completely the opposite. And I feel bad for men in that aspect, man. It's really difficult for them.
Big Ol's just confirming something you said before, where if your hobby makes money, then all of a sudden it's cool and great.
Yeah.
And then she's proud of talking about you to her girlfriends because, yeah, he plays video games, but you know how rich he is? You know how much money he makes, bitches?
Yeah.
But if it's like your man plays video games, like, oh, tell me about it. Like I tell him, we argue. But then he plays video games and he makes $1 million a year. It's like...
Yeah, that's such a different mindset because you could also have a mindset of, yeah, my husband, he likes to play with Lego. Like he's crazy about Lego and he loves doing that. And if someone's like, he plays with Lego, what are you talking about? I'd be like, why don't you fuck off? Because I love my husband and he loves me. You could also have that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I remember one time I was really proud of my sister-in-law when my brother and her got married the first couple of years. And he's got like a muscle car that he's been working on for a decade. He's always fixing it and making it better. Ford Galaxy, by the way, coupe. And a Ford Galaxy coupe fastback. I think it's a 68. Anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what that is.
And anyway, when they got married, like I think one of my sister-in-law's friends on Facebook, it's like my brother had a photo of him in the garage with his car, like, you know, smiling and proud. And the comment under her Facebook, one of her then friends was like, well, he's married now, time to sell the car. And my sister-in-law let her have it. It's like, don't tell my husband to blah-de-blah. He doesn't have to give up his car. Why don't you blah? Like, she really embarrassed the girl. And I was like, yeah, good for you.
Yeah. All these stereotypes and expectations, man.
Well, I guess you'll need to give up your... No, I don't.
No.
Why? All right. There was another comment from David P. I wanted to read out. He said, I think we answered this. This was about this video. Deal breakers, I think it was. No, actually, it was... Let me get to it. It was
2 years together.
2 years together, this one here. And he said, what expectations did you both have about yourselves and each other before Steph moved in, and how did those expectations match with reality once she moved in?
Yeah, we've discussed that in that stream, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big ol'.
Hang on, but let me just quickly answer. Like, we did discuss it, but just summing up, it was what we expected. The adjustment was only accommodating another person in our day-to-day living, little adjustments of like how we do little things, but the actual personality, no, it was all pretty much what we expected.
I got exactly what I expected. The only surprise was that you're a bit more social than I am.
Yep.
For the rest, everything was
what did you want to read out, like comments?
Big ol', he says, without men's libido, there'd be no skyscrapers.
Yeah.
That's interesting, but men also have to live in houses and work and stuff. So
yeah,
why?
But we probably have slightly better grass huts. There's a joke, I think Dave Chappelle said it. He said men don't build businesses and go for Ferraris and mansions because we like them. It's because women like them, and women help push us to more and more and compete with each other. We compete with other men to build faster, better, stronger, bigger buildings and stuff. Women help push us. They're like a carrot for us to keep going further.
Maybe that's because now you see those men going their own way. They live like a very simple lifestyle.
Yeah, they don't care.
Maybe it would be more like that.
Men aren't inventing. Men aren't... there's no ingenuity as much anymore because there's no... What for? Why should I? I won't be the best gamer. I won't create a gaming company. I'll just play video games. What for? I just work this much and I'm fine.
Okay.
Not to say that your woman needs to nag you into it, but if your woman inspires you and she's on your side and you want to show off a bit and you want to be proud and like you want to go further, women can help motivate you without shaming you into it. Like just in and of yourself, But if there's no reason, men are very logical. Like, what do I need to work harder? Like, if I only have to work part-time, but if I worked full-time at a job, I want to go up the ladder, make more money, get better. Like, there's a consequence of getting better and building more and inventing more.
Yeah.
Of working harder. But men don't work any harder than they need to. And women help them work a bit more harder than they would if they just had to be on their own. Because you've got to protect and provide a little bit more, you know. All right. Also, let me see. I dropped a video last night, if you're interested. A series I'm starting about why love is hard for you on my main channel. And the first one is your childhood. I thought that was a great place to start. So have a click on it, have a look. It's pretty interesting. So, all right. Let's answer some of the questions here. Let's see.
Maybe we're going to go to time.
Really?
Yeah, I have to go.
Can you hold it? We're nearly finished.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think, let's see. Yeah, we're an hour and a half. We'll wrap it up. We'll read some of the questions quickly and it'll be finished. So, don't worry, babe. You're such a chick. All right. David, in terms of your question about when she shames you for your hobby, David says, whatever happened to the perspective of I'm doing what I like, you don't have to participate if you don't want to. Shaming a partner for their hobbies screams insecurity. Yep. She has some growing up to do. I agree.
Yeah, I think the problem also isn't really that they're trying to get you to participate. The problem is probably that you're spending time on that hobby and they want you to spend that time on them or on working to provide or something.
Yeah, Luke said that as much here. He said, because I asked the question, posed the question, why do you think people shame others for enjoying childhood hobbies as adults? And Luke said probably because they don't have one themselves. They may consider it an insult, quite possibly because they are messed up themselves and really have an issue with other people being happy when they aren't. Yep.
Nice.
Tara Dean says, maybe because having a childhood hobby is seen by society as a sign of immaturity, when the time and money spent on it could be used for bills or upgrading one's lifestyle, usually to try and impress other people. Yep.
Yeah, so that's that expectation from society.
Peg, hi Peg, she says, short-sightedness of the shamer. Manipulation tactics perhaps on the shamer may not have anything that brings them that kind of focus or joy outside daily living. They can't relate. Hobbies can be constructive, entertaining, educational, and sometimes lucrative. I venture to say hobbies and interests in childhood often leads to developing and enhancing career and life choices. Remember playing in investigating, building, and creating them as a kid? How fun was that? Good, wholesome fun, I hope. I think it is important as adults to incorporate responsible, enriching, and enjoyable play hobbies into our daily lives whenever possible and appropriate. David says, people love to mock what they don't have. Yeah. As long as I'm handling my responsibilities, what I do otherwise isn't anyone's business.
You know what? I also just want to respond to what he said about enriching and enjoyable hobbies into your days. You have to incorporate that into your life. I also agree with that, because what else are you going to do? Just spend your life working? Like, I already think we work way too much, like 5 days a week, maybe even more. Like, of course, it should be more normal to have hobbies.
Yeah, I think it's just these narcissistic women, they want the relationship and you to be all about them. Like, I want you emptied out. I want everything to be about me. Like, you can't have anything you love. You have to love me 100%. You can't have 10% of love for a hobby and 90% for me. I want 100%.
Yeah, but even if you take women out of the equation, just, because I think that if you don't have any hobbies and you're just working, like, that's no life.
Yeah, I know.
So I feel like it should be way more normal for everyone to have hobbies and enjoy their lives outside of work, because we're already working so much in our lifetime.
What would you talk about with someone? Just think about someone who just works and they're like, I hate my life, whatever. What do you think about your job? I don't know, whatever. I just make money. Yeah, great. Nice conversation.
Yeah.
JCJW, shame is used to guilt people, which is used to control people. Notice how quickly that shaming changes when everyone around them doesn't agree and say the hobby is fine. Yeah. A veteran, whatever, says it's a low-hanging fruit and quite some people are eager, latent. People are latent bullies. Grammar, dude. Prince Revolda, as long as my bills are paid and I'm not engaging in unruly behavior, the shame towards my hobbies is irrelevant. They're not investing into my hobbies financially. Exactly. If you're responsible, piss off. Who cares? I think that's about it. Yep. So,
enjoy your hobbies.
Yes. Enjoy your hobbies. And watch some of our recent videos that we've done. We're starting to accumulate a few, babe. The last one, our deal breakers, was fun. So have a look at that one, the first one. This one was actually pretty fun to do. And if there's no last questions, we're going to wrap this up because nature calls.
And I'm hungry.
Yeah. Are we going out or eating in? You still don't know?
I could do both. Depends
We'll talk
on
about
you.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. If there's no last questions, let's wrap the stream up. Thanks for showing up. It was a lot of fun, and I hope you got something out of this discussion about when your partner shames you for a hobby that they say is childish, or that's from your past or childhood that you still do now as an adult. So, yeah, I've never liked it. I'm very protective over my creativity, which has been around since I really remember it. I started drawing when I was in grade 2. And I think I was maybe 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was like really like, wow, I came alive.
Yeah, I can't even imagine being shamed for any of my hobbies. But yeah, that's because I'm a woman, I guess. I don't get shamed for that stuff.
Yeah. All right, guys. Enjoy your, what would it be now? Thursday night for Americans. And the rest of you around the world whenever you're at. So it's Friday afternoon here. Have a nice weekend, and I will see you on my stream on my channel on Sunday morning or Saturday night for those of you in the US. And yeah, enjoy your weekend.
Bye.
Bye.